It's Offside with Hawes and McGuire.
It's Offside with Hawes and McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire.
All right, today is almost the end of April. And it's a day of celebration, a day of trepidation. It's literally kind of that turning point in the first round of the playoffs. Last night, the Ottawa Senators, who are not my number one team, but they're my number two team, right? Okay, they played a decent game.
They played a great game.
And
it was a great hockey game.
They won in overtime.
Yeah.
And so we want to talk about all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we'll start with that. The Ottawa Senators.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, I'm wearing the jersey.
Yeah.
Because I never really do. But the reality is I'm getting fatter and nothing fits. So that's kind of why I'm doing it. Okay. I was going to do some dieting, right? Or try to lose weight. The big
Don't be foolish.
I know. The big trend, is walking. They say you can walk the weight off. At our age, they're supposed to walk the weight off.
Really?
I leave for Calgary in the morning.
Perfect.
So.
Perfect.
Okay. So what did you think?
You'll get there by the time they're back in the playoffs.
Yeah. So what did you think? I mean, there's a whole litany of things to discuss, but let's talk about the Senators so far.
Yeah.
And to give fairness to the Leafs too. Through
well,
this.
you have to. This is definitely people were saying it. When I say people, I think those that follow the Leafs very closely. We follow them, as we do a bunch of teams. But I'm a Hab fan. You got the Senators here in town. We've talked about pretty much every team at one point or another on our shows. But those that follow the Leafs pretty closely have said this is the best team in the Austin Matthews era, and I would agree.
Absolutely.
I would say it is, and I would say primarily on the back end is where it's really noticeable for me. The defense, adding Tanev and Carlo, you're getting they're calling Benoit Bobby Orr. His first player in NHL history to have his first 2 points in the playoffs, both come in overtime goals.
Really?
So he assisted Domis and obviously scored himself. So. The Leafs go up 3-0 with 2 overtime games, Chris. I mean, overtime is a coin flip. It really could go any way, but I do think it's reflective of probably the team that was the better in the series. As I think it is 3-1. But give Ottawa tons of credit last night for gutting it out. We can talk about what happened in the overtime, how they killed the 4-minute. But leading up to that, Toronto to come back and erased a 2-0 lead. Yeah. And then for Ottawa to stay in the game and then ultimately get the W, they deserve a ton of credit as well.
Absolutely.
I thought it was the best game of the series in terms of intensity, pace, physicality, drama. Like they're fighting like every other series is almost a mirror image. It's unbelievable how entertaining the playoffs have been this year.
And we're not talking about Montreal yet, so just hold on.
I know I haven't even got there.
So hold on.
Holy lifting.
So here's you mentioned
very impressed with the Leafs and Sens.
Absolutely.
It's tough for Ottawa to be down 3-1. You all know the odds. Only 4 teams have come back from 3-0 down. But they got to be going back to Toronto and say, hey, the Habs were there in 2021 down 3-1, and they ended up spanking them, so let's go.
That's right. Well, and I say this, because, they just got to take it 1 mile at a time. Like one game at a time. And not that they're like on a 12-step program or anything.
Yeah.
But all they got to do is win one game.
Yeah.
They got to win the one game.
Get her back home.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then they got to win one game. And, because when you think about the big piece of of the puzzle, you can't think of it because it becomes a daunting task. But you've got, and a game's divided into 3 periods. Win a period. Get out there, win a period.
4.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and even better, here's win the battles during your shifts. I mean, as a coach, that's what you're going to do. I mean, you got some systematic planning to do and whatever, you work on those things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it all is going to come down to those individual battles on those individual shifts and some lucky bounces.
You're going to need some, for sure. I mean, Sanderson's goal is a seeing eye shot. Finds its way by Stolarz. Screened as a lot of the goals are in NHL, even regular season, let alone when you get down to this time of the year, everybody's crowding the net. But I was just so impressed with the physicality. I don't know if we've seen full on Brady to Chuck just yet. I mean, He's been involved in goals.
Yeah.
But
he's playing smart. You know what? He's playing
smart, but he hasn't. Like I guess we were all kind of anticipating we were going to see the guy in the Four Nation, and not saying we haven't.
Right.
But at the same time, look, they're down 3-1. You can slice it out wherever you want. But the fact that they killed off that 4-minute penalty in overtime to Batherson last night was unbelievable.
To that point, though, and this is something that I'm going to say, precursor to that, is, you know who I've been most impressed with this whole series? John Tavares.
Oh, yeah.
He's fucking playing like a beast.
Incredible.
And his hockey sense is really coming through. This has been the most impactful that he's been in his whole time with the Leafs.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
I would agree. I would agree.
And
he obviously had some great years with the Islanders for sure.
Yeah, but the Islanders were shit then. So this is actually his genuine opportunity, right? I mean, he's probably looking at it that, and I'll tell you, he's playing with heart and intelligence, and so you know what I mean.
And they missed him last night
on that 4-minute power play.
He had the concussion protocol after the cheap shot by Zub. And who avoided the penalty on the play. Should have been one, obviously.
Yeah.
It happens. It's playoff hockey that's gone on in games all across the board here.
Yeah.
But they missed him in that power play. But still, there's enough ammo there in Toronto. They should have got it done, and they didn't. And Matthews hit the post. I don't know how Pacioretty's didn't go in. It was in the air. I think it was Kleven who knocked it out. What a crazy sequence. It's unbelievable. I wasn't at the game, but everyone that's gone has been telling me the atmosphere has been fantastic. So kudos to the Sens. I think last night it looked like a few more Leaf fans than game 3, but they did a really good job.
They had time to drive up from Toronto.
Yeah, exactly. They have to stop at all the spots, right?
Yeah.
Napanee, Belleville, Kingston, you're making all the stops.
At the Big Apple, grab some apple pie.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, it's just entertaining as hell, man. It's just been great. It's tough for Ottawa. Obviously, you go down 3-0. We know the stats and everything. They stave off elimination last night. You gotta, like you just said. Yeah. You gotta go and try and just win a game.
That's right.
Don't even think beyond that.
That's right.
Because the scope of it is just too crazy. But just go win a game. But, you're splitting hairs here. If this is the best Leaf team in the Matthews era, and you have played 4 games and 3 of them have gone into overtime.
Yeah.
So what does that say about Ottawa? I think it says a lot.
It says a lot. And it says a lot about the heart. And frankly, you know what? I was not initially going to be a Travis Green fan. Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna. I never said as such.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's done a good job.
You have
with that young group of guys. They're young, right? Really and truly, you got Claude Giroux, who is granted he's probably taking a lot of anti-inflammatories for his arthritis problem. Okay, and stuff like that. But he's not even that old. He's in his 30s.
No, I know. Yeah, he's like 36 or something. But hey, listen. I don't think Travis really you just have to look it up. I don't think he did much in Vancouver, and he didn't do much in New Jersey.
But he's doing a good job here.
Well, you have to give him credit.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the buck stops with him in terms of combinations and lines, and when you're putting guys out this, that, and the other, and everything else. So yes, he's got a coaching staff, but I mean, he's the head coach, and you do have to give him credit. There's no doubt about it. And I too did not think it was necessarily a great hire. By the Senators, but give credit where it's due, man.
Absolutely, and you know what?
They're in the thick of it here. If they can somehow find a way to squeeze. Look, we just saw it last year with Edmonton, and Florida, right?
Yeah,
lose 3, win 3, as recently as last year. So, let alone the teams that did come back from 3 down. Yes, it's historic, and it's only 4 times since the best of 7 started in 1939. So the stats aren't great against Ottawa here, but at the end of the day, what a way to get a W last night. They didn't get swept.
No,
they didn't lose their last game on home ice.
But even
now you're going back.
And I say that I had kind of resigned myself when Toronto came back and everything. I was like, hey, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm going off, and I'm texting. By the way, that's how you watch hockey nowadays, right? You're watching the game. You may not be with your buddies, but they text you. You get a text every fucking couple of minutes. Yeah. Could you fucking believe it? Or whatever it was. Anyhow, I kind of resigned myself.
My rule. I don't respond to anything when the game's on.
Really?
Yeah, nothing.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on from the Ottawa Senators. We know it's been great. It's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Monday night, we'll see another game.
I think Tuesday. I think they're pushing this one.
Oh, are they
Tuesday,
pushing? They're taking the break? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Tuesday night, we'll get that.
Availability or
We
whatever.
still have another Montreal game to get to.
Yeah.
Okay, and we've got, that stuff. But we're gonna take a detour right now about our hockey pool.
Yeah.
Which, as we know, the winner of the hockey pool this year, speaking of golf, instead of coming to Ireland with the Haas Golf Experience, okay, we decided that this summer they're just going to go to PEI.
Nice.
And they're going to do it with Club EG Golf, okay, local company that know most of the guys. A lot of them are refs in the off season. Or golf pros.
So you know them intimately, is what you're saying.
I know them well. It's hard to believe I actually get along with them, but
wow.
But on the ice, they know there's a different personality, and you know what I mean.
Well, for you, for sure.
And I'm like way mellow now.
Yeah, you're a new man.
Oh,
you're a grandfather, for God's sake.
Exactly.
You can't be out there.
So congratulations to our winner,
awesome.
Adel.
Yep.
Okay. Led from the beginning. There was a few near the end. It was close. Yeah. You know what I mean? But he still he hung on there, and so he and his guest are going to PEI.
Fantastic.
And I was at a funeral yesterday, and somebody who knows Adel, and he said, "Oh yeah," he goes, "Well, I want to go on the trip too," because he thought we were going.
Oh.
And I said, "No, I'm not going." He goes, "Oh, okay." But they're going to come to Ireland in September.
There you go.
So that's the plan. So now a whole new trip to the west side of Ireland, not the northeast, the northwest.
Northwest.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the trip. Okay. It's going to be it's somewhere in the first week of October. I don't have the dates in my hand. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we're going to be drive through. There was a place, but you're not going to be there. If you're not going to be there, we're not going to Kong. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
I'm going to drive by. You know what I'll do? I'll drive by, take a picture, and
let me know when next time you're playing in the South, and I'll jump in again.
Well, it is.
The North.
You mean the Republic? No, you haven't done Donegal, which is in the Republic. I know, but it's the north part of Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So that's where we're going. We will be in Donegal and Sligo, and we'll be golfing there.
Okay.
So Ireland is at least got 4 provinces. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
So 4 different places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to stick with the northern part, because the southern part is way too overexposed. You know what I mean? It's fun. Don't get me wrong, but you haven't been up to Donegal yet.
Yeah, I've been to Donegal many times.
All right.
Yes. So I haven't golfed there.
Well, there you go. That's what I'm saying. What are you talking about? Shut the fuck up.
I've been to Donegal many times. Yeah.
All right.
I like to play courses in the South, though, next time I go. In the Republic.
Well, it is, though. The Donegal's in the Republic.
Yeah, but where are we playing? Well, you don't know yet.
No, I know the courses. We'll play Inniscrone. We'll play Donegal, like Merva. We'll play, these are all, great courses.
Yeah.
But again, you're not paying the equivalent of $750 a round. To play Old Head.
Courses, though. No,
that's right.
But you don't have. Those are the A+ ones, and you don't have to play Ballybunion and Lahinch and Old Head and Waterville and whatnot. Dunebag. Those are your A and A+ tracks. Maybe you could get one of them in a tour at some point. But
I don't see the value in $750 or more.
No.
For a fucking round of golf.
No.
Unless there's a blowjob afterwards, that's just too much money. Sorry.
Adel, congratulations.
Yeah, congrats, yeah.
And Hosey and Brown for being the key sponsor of our pool now 2 years running. And the Hosey and Brown sponsorship will continue through the rest of this hockey season.
That's correct.
For the duration of the time that you and I are doing the show. And because, man, this is just round 1.
I know. We got lots of time.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And just about every series is 2-1, with the exception of Toronto, Ottawa. So it's been just absolutely spectacular. And I just want to give Rod a big thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
For jumping in for
me
his
as
2
well.
years
Absolutely.
in a row.
Yeah.
And it's been
well,
great.
You know what? We don't have a prize if we don't have a sponsor.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
We're only doing this for Rod, really. That's it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's no.
Get your auto parts at Hosey and Brown. By the way,
That's
they're
right.
celebrating 50 years next year.
Really?
50 years in business.
Well, there you go.
In 2026. So I know they're going to have quite a celebration at some point somewhere, and
Yeah.
I will be there.
You think?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think.
The word celebration and Liam don't go together.
I know it's not a good fit usually, but I'll try and make the best of it.
Okay, so before we move on to, we were talking about golf, we're talking about Ireland, we're talking about things. Okay, I'm going to give you this. I told you that I was going to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
But this is the now I'm going to customize for you.
Yeah.
Okay, for your grip.
Yeah.
Okay. A new club, but this is the very first Haws of St. Andrews West. Okay, which is on the way to Cornwall.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. This is a putter. Okay, you're not getting the whole
Is
set.
it like a niblet or something? Or
No, it's a putter.
Okay.
You heard of putter, these things, these putters. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so I do have a set with niblets, mashies, and a jigger.
And
okay?
a jigger.
Okay. Plus a brassy.
John Barassi?
Yes, exactly. So, but this is my gift to you. Is going to be this putter. As I said, this one is actually going to be mine, but I'm going to customize yours. Probably put some like red, white tape.
Canadienize it.
Little Canadienize it for you or something like that.
By the way, how about the shirt, eh?
You know what? It's a wonderful shirt. Total surprise to me because I had no idea that it was coming. I love it.
That's your name right there.
That is my name there. Yeah, I had no idea that was coming. So that I guess I would have to say thanks to Kev.
Yeah, Ottawa Valley
Kevin
Uniform.
Jardine, Ottawa Valley Uniforms.
Yeah.
For doing that. He never put Ottawa Valley Uniforms on the side though.
No.
He should have done that, and that would have given advertising at the same time. But
well, this is quite the weapon.
You know what? Guaranteed.
Guaranteed 2 putts?
Guaranteed. No, actually 1.5.
1.5?
You're going to be tour quality at 1.7.
Damn.
Yes. Yeah. That's where you're going to be. You're going to love.
So give me the details here. You didn't make this.
Yes, I did.
You physically made this.
Oh no. I don't have a foundry.
Okay.
To be able to do that.
Okay.
But the design is an exact replica.
So your name's on it.
My name's on it. It's an exact replica of a Gibson Maxwell flange. Okay.
Yep.
Putter from the 1920s. Okay.
Okay.
Now the Maxwell actually had holes drilled in the hosel.
Okay.
To make it lighter here and heavier here.
Okay.
Okay. And that's what they used. They used the extra metal to create the flange.
Okay.
So what I've done is I've changed the hosel, and the hosel is now solid so that you don't get water and vapor and stuff inside. And this will last over 100 years.
Now it's a heavy head.
It's a heavy head. That's right. It's about 335 grams.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's a heavy head compared to what a modern putter is.
Yep.
Okay. And then, but it's balanced by a heavy
You've got a big grip. Yeah.
I got a big grip. I mean, I like a wide grip only because my
this grip made for you?
I made this grip myself.
You made that grip.
So yeah, so I actually constructed this club.
Okay.
So the hickory comes from the U.S. Okay.
Okay.
The leather. This actually is bison. This particular thing, but yeah, bison hide.
Okay.
Okay. This threading, which is you can't really tell. It kind of looks like tape, but the threading here is waxed Irish linen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And
you got a little bit of Ireland in there.
I got it. Oh, everything is there. So we put this all together, and did all the actual putting it together myself. Whipped it, created it. I did this particular one for myself. I will be able to do one that matches your grip so that you feel the same.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the plan. I'll do the grip.
Wow.
I'll customize the grip for you.
That's awesome.
So that's my gift to you. When you go to Rita View for men's night and they're giving you grief about your old grip, okay, you can say, well, fuck, take a look at my new grip.
Yeah.
Okay, and you go from there. So anyway, that's going to be my gift to you.
Cool,
so
man.
I'll give that to you for there to hold there now, and I'll customize one exactly for you.
Fantastic. Thank you. This is so cool.
And
name right on the back. Hey man,
no, you know what? It's got to be a brand. Like I could call it.
You're structuring it here. You're just, I love it.
A fine Ottawa product. To be honest with you, like there's not, I'm starting manufacturing, on my own. I just wish. So what happened though in this bad time to doing a business, okay? Because this fucking trade war.
Oh,
okay.
Shit.
So the hickory is now. Canada has retaliatory tariffs on it, right?
Yeah.
So hickory's gone up 25%.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, so bring it in. But guess what? When I go to send it out to sell it to somebody in the United States, it's another 25%.
Yeah.
And then the United States puts 100 and some percent tariff on the head.
It's just ridiculous.
Because it's a stainless steel, which is a metal
Yeah.
Honestly, it's so I got to sell the first lot in Canada only. It's going to be an exclusive Canadian offer.
Okay.
Okay, because I got to wait till this trade war changes.
Yeah.
But all I said here, I'll give that back to you.
Okay.
And now we're going to talk about something that I know is dear to your heart. Okay, is a kerfuffle on the bench or in the bench area.
Yeah.
And
baby.
the Montreal Canadiens surprising the world with kicking ass.
Yeah, well, the series so far against Washington it was kind of going, I think, as most had expected.
Right, but it wasn't a blowout.
They were not blowing Montreal out of the water, and I think a lot of people are waiting to see how are the Caps going to be in the playoffs after Ovi hit the record.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a hangover and whatnot? They're the number one seed, and they've been number one pretty much the whole season.
Yeah.
So it's you're kind of on cruise control at the end, and they didn't dress a bunch of guys, and Columbus waxed them back-to-back games, including 7-0. And the nucleus of the players there, the ones that are starting into the playoffs. So you don't know, and then you come up against Montreal, and you play these first two games, and frankly,
they won them.
They won them, just like we're talking about Toronto getting it done. At the end of the day, it's just about getting the victory, and they did. And they got the victory, and you came back to Montreal where you knew it was going to be absolutely raucous. So I haven't been yet. I am saying that if the Canadiens were to somehow get to the second round, I will go to a game. But I have not. I have been in the building for a playoff game there. I'm not sure if you have or not.
No.
But
I've never been in the new building.
You've never been in the Bell Center?
No.
Oh,
never been
God.
in.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't been since the Forum. Like that's what it's 185 years ago.
Oh, yeah, the Forum closed in '96, Monday night, March 11, '96.
Yeah, I haven't been to a Montreal game in the Bell Center.
So that's 30 years next year.
Is it really?
For the Bell Center?
Yeah.
It opened in 1996. So.
But to be fair, I'm not particularly a Montreal fan, so
no,
I don't rush
so
off
why
to
would
that.
you go?
And
I just figured you would have caught a Senator game down there.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that every time I go to Montreal, I get fucking lost on the way out.
Yeah.
It's like the most difficult place to leave.
It's terrible.
It's like they don't want anyone to leave. That's how you get this. That's how a lot of our Irish family emigrated to Quebec. Yeah. They all because a lot of people don't know this, but a huge Irish population in Quebec.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And so if you don't know that, it was because and you know why?
Probably the majority of the famine, the people that came across, landed in the province of Quebec.
And do you know why?
Right there with New York. Do I know why? No.
Because the whether you were traveling steerage or not, the difference was $10 a head or £10 a head to go to Montreal versus New York or Boston.
Oh.
And so a lot of people went to Montreal and then walked down into the United States from the Irish. Okay. So it was the cheaper passage to get to Canada.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of Irish people, certainly my people, that's what they did.
Well, mine too, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom's
because you
family,
guys are
my dad obviously didn't leave. His family stayed in Ireland, but my mother's family came over.
Yeah.
The Paynes, Payne, just ahead of the famine actually. So they certainly went through all of that.
Yeah.
And came into the province of Quebec. So and made their way to the village of Stoneham, and the rest is history on that side. But Montreal in that game against the Capitals, and with the fans going absolutely nuts, found themselves down 1-0.
Yeah.
About 5-6 minutes in, I believe it was McMichael that scored. He's had a great series. He's had a great season for the Capitals. And then Carrier, the defenseman Montreal picked up, scored in the last minute of play to tie the game at 1. It was a crucial goal for sure. And then the second period, where the teams exchanged goals in a couple of minutes. before the drama at the end with Lane Hudson jumping in front of Ovi in the dying seconds of the period and intercepting a breakout pass, throwing it immediately across to Cole Caulfield, who hammered it home. And the building went absolutely crazy again.
You notice the way his eyes light up? He was telling that, it was almost like he was retelling the story of the first time he had sex. It was like, and then Lane Hudson, you know what I mean? He was my wingman.
Yeah. I don't think he'd be too handy as a wingman anywhere. See, they had a party on the off day there where they all went to Hurley's in Montreal.
No.
And Lane was there with his girlfriend, and the doorman said, "You got to wait in line, kid." He didn't recognize him.
That's
He
great.
didn't recognize who Hudson was. His girlfriend went back up and said, "Do you know this is Lane Hudson?" And the guy just looks at, "Holy shit." And he went and got him and brought him back out of line and let him in because he looks like he's 17.
Well, yeah. What is he? He's 18.
He's a little older, but he's $120. Anyway, what we really obviously want to talk about is what happened at the end. And as the benches emptied, Dobas, the Montreal goaltender, because Montembeault got hurt, and has to leave the game. Dobas goes in, and we were just really still getting to know him. Okay,
He played phenomenally.
He did, and he has for Montreal. Like he started, he had a shutout in his first game, and he played, I think, a total of 13 or 14 starts. I think he went 7-4-2 or 7-4-3. His numbers weren't bad. Obviously, the first 5-6 games he won, and that was such a bonus because the shooters didn't have a book on him or nothing.
Right.
But he is a little bit on the volatile side himself. If you've seen him on the bench during games, or if you've seen him, he gets in guys' faces around the net all the time. Yeah. So the video, which didn't make its way to us publicly for about 20 minutes or so, before I think the intermission ended, then Hockey Night showed it. He's trying to get off, and the Capitals are stepping in front of him. And they're not letting him off. And he made a push to get by a couple of them, and the Canadiens all sort of congregated and came over, and the Capitals were coming off the bench. Well, of course, that allowed for Anderson. Well, Wi-Fi, it was originally Xhekaj.
Okay.
So he played the first game, first time he dressed. Thousands, everybody wanted in the lineup, except for it seemed like the coaching staff. They sit Struble, put in Wi-Fi. He only played 10 minutes, 17 shifts, but he threw 4 hits. He was +1, and his presence was felt.
Yeah.
And it was felt from the warm-up on when he had words with Anderson. So he's coming together, and they're right up against the boards. They're trying to go, and Anderson comes in, and he basically takes over, gets into it. The door was open. I'm sure everybody's seen it now.
Yeah.
The door's open to the bench, and they go in the bench, and holy Jesus, I was trying to go through the screen. Like, I was losing my mind. It was unfreaking believable. The holy shit. If you turn the clock back 30 years, can you imagine? That brawl? It would have been an all-outer like Detroit and St. Louis back in 91.
Or you know what? Or even go back even further, Terry O'Reilly would have jumped the
you're going into the crowd, and Milbury's grabbing guys' shoes and hitting him over the head with it, in Madison Square Garden in 1980. Yeah. But the whole thing was so surreal to see them on there. And of course, they weren't really, like, Wilson was probably the aggressor, and the stuff that went on the bench. But watching Carberry and the coaching staff, they were actually in front. They had to get out of the way as these guys were coming by trying to swing. It was unbelievable. And it's just added so much flavor. And then, of course, the Canadiens scored 3 times in the third, ended up winning the game. And then Thompson got hurt. I see he's back practicing today.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Because there was no word. Like, even Kristen asked, so what happened?
Oh, my God. It looked terrible.
Yeah.
Like, that was on the Slavkovsky goal. Great pass by Caulfield to get it through. Yeah. Slav just guides it in. And Strome coming back 100 miles an hour, hit him like a Mack truck. But did you see the replay of his knee, his leg going back? I don't know how the hell. The guy's got to be Gumby to be on the ice today skating. But
you know what? I think it would be. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would be the most prudent to get back in there unless, but they must have done.
They're calling it a game time decision.
Yeah,
game time decision for Thompson to play whenever you see our show here.
Because here's the thing: if he's not 100%, then he becomes a liability.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh, yeah. You got to be 100% good to go because...
As a goaltender, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're like a Montreal cop, you got to be 100%.
Yeah.
Get in there.
Yeah, Severfeast there, the police officer is the E-Bug, emergency backup goaltender. Yeah. And there he was. I think they had him in number 96, I think it was.
Yes, that was it, yeah.
In the sweater. And yeah, I'm sure everybody knows the way it works. You have to have what's called an E-Bug in every arena now. And they can play for either team. And in this case here, he obviously had come out would have supported had Dobas somehow got hurt. He could have gone in there. However, then Thompson gets hurt and he goes off.
He could have been swapping jerseys.
He very much could have.
Yeah.
He very much could have and ended up going to nets for Washington. And
just walked into the corner.
Well, the famous exactly. Well, look at the famous story about the Toronto Maple Leafs losing to their Zamboni driver, who ended up playing for Carolina that night.
Yeah,
is a similar situation, and that has happened before in hockey history back in the day, in the one goalie era, when backup people that were in the building would dress and play, and there's stories, there's history of people dressing and playing against the Montreal Canadiens in the Forum back in the 50s and picking up wins in some cases, a couple of cases. It's ridiculous, but it's happened. Anyway, that whole thing was just unbelievable theater, and it's added so much fuel to this series. Albeit, Washington could come out tonight and waltz and just go up to 3-1 and make it all seem pretty academic. However, this Canadian team are very resilient, and they've had a hell of a season. They're playing on house money, and they're just having a blast, and they look like it.
You also know the old saying: you're not behind until you've lost a game. Yeah, you lose at home.
Yeah.
And so, like right now, they're where they need to be.
And absolutely.
The
opportunity to tie the series tonight and make it go at least 6 is something probably. Yeah. I know a lot of the pundits. I watched everybody's. Everybody picked Washington. Most picked Washington in 5. Yeah. And could still well be. We'll see. But minimally,
it'd be crazy if they actually upset Washington. To be honest,
it would be 2010 all over again.
You know what I mean?
They upset Washington in 2010 in this scenario, and they were down 3-1.
Yeah.
And came back and won. Then they went and played the Pittsburgh Penguins with Crosby and Malkin, and they beat them in 7.
Yeah.
Before that magic carpet ride ran out against Philadelphia in the semifinals of 2010. Wasn't even.
And in 2010, and if I'm not mistaken, Giroux was on that Flyer team at the time.
He was.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had the playoff.
Well, that was the year that they came back.
That's right.
From 3 down against your Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
And won 4 straight, and that pissed off like the Michael Jordan quote there from The Last Dance. So I took it personal. So the Bruins took it personal and went on and win the Cup the next year.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you're still pretty happy about. So at the end of the day, that Montreal game, and now Florida and Tampa is really heated up with the cheap shot hits, including to Chuck on Gensel last night. The previous one, obviously.
Okay, so let me ask you about that, because that's something that, 5-minute major, absolutely.
No suspension, by the way.
No, but just the penalty. Well, at the speed of the game, I think he was trying to make the hit cleanly, but hammer the shit out of him.
Well,
and he dished it.
So
but he dished it off really well.
How do you compare it then to Hagel on Barkov? How?
No. Listen, the Barkov hit was fucking brutal, and and frankly, he wasn't even looking. It was not even like
Gensel wasn't looking either.
Yeah, but he was moving up the ice. The Barkov hit was way out of line. And maybe it's because I like Barkov. God, I love that guy.
Yeah, I do.
He's a great hockey player.
He's unbelievable.
And don't get me wrong. I like Getzel's a great hockey player.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And all these guys involved. And the guy that actually I think you dislike the most is Xhekaj.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of defending him.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't think.
Well, he deserved the major though. You don't have any disagreement
without
with
question. No,
okay.
He absolutely was a penalty.
Yeah.
It was absolutely again, I have to give him the benefit of the doubt as the player safety, whatever the
Department of Player Safety.
Department of Player Safety. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. I agree that it was not an intentional.
They're not reviewing it at all.
Yeah, I don't. From there. Now that being said, they also don't want to ruin the Florida Panthers' chance at getting to the Stanley Cup by taking out one of their best players.
Well, I hope that's not a factor that's being considered here. I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time finding a lot of difference between the two hits. I really am. I mean,
really, eh?
Yeah. I mean, Barkov, listen, if you want to go out, you play enough hockey.
Yeah.
And you played enough contact hockey growing up, as did I. If you want to go out and light somebody up illegally, but that's what you want to do for whatever reason. You're pissed off, the team's losing, there's been whatever. You want to go out and do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can go and take somebody out. And that hit on Barkov was egregious, and I just found the same thing on Gensel. Maybe the response wasn't the same. Like, Barkov was down and out and went out of the game.
Right.
So...
But the difference
Gensel was right at the end of the game too.
Right,
it was in the dying seconds.
True, but the difference was kind of
the
in my opinion, the difference is the intent, right? And
but his intent was to catch him late, regardless. The intent was there to hurt him. Like he's made the pass. You're two steamboats beyond when you're supposed to throw the hit.
But was it really two steamboats? Like, and I know you're saying...
It was late. It was grotesquely late by all men. That's why he got a major.
No, I know, but it looks even later when they slow it down. But when you run that at real speed, when you're traveling, it's hard to get out of that way. Like, you know what? There have been plenty of times when you're going down the ice and you go and all of a sudden somebody cuts in front of you.
Yeah.
And I've laid guys out completely because I just didn't have time to adjust and turn.
Yeah.
Like I forget who it was this past playoff, and the guy cutting across. He had the puck, and he's cutting across, and he didn't see me. Literally, he skates right into my chest. Okay, and he went down like I could hear the out of him, and I felt fucking horrible, right? But I didn't do it. It was obvious. And the ref knew I hadn't done anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. The guy skated right into me. I didn't have time to move, and it's kind of maybe I'm just projecting what has happened to me in my past. I don't think I know he was going to hit him while he had the puck.
Yeah.
And then he dished it, and he didn't have time to change what he was doing.
You know what? At the end of the day, it's they're calling it the Alligator Bowl or something. I think
is that right?
The nickname of the series.
Well, it's Alligator Alley. Is
Alligator
the
Alley.
highway?
That's so it's just yet another series that's on everybody's radar to try and throw an eyeball on here.
So Gracie lives in Florida. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so she's a Girl Scout leader. Okay, she runs a troop of Girl Scouts and stuff like that. And she said to one of the moms, she says, "Listen, I need some help for this thing." She goes, "Well, I can't. We've got tickets to the game." And Grace goes, "To the game? What the game? What do you mean the game?" She goes, "The hockey game." And Grace is like, "Wow, I had never thought that people would be like into like she's thinking like football.
Yeah.
Football season's over.
Yeah.
She's going through. She can't. It didn't even occur to her that these people were excited to go to the Panthers Tampa Bay Lightning game.
Love it.
So all that being said, she commented to me just yesterday about that. She says, "I asked these people to help, and they're going to the game. They got tickets to the game."
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
That's great, man.
Yeah,
that's great. And that series is obviously far from over with the Panthers up 2-1. So it's just another one we got to throw an eyeball on. And look, at the end of the day, between Tampa and Florida, they've been in the last 5 finals.
Yeah.
So Florida 2 straight, Tampa 3 straight before that, with three Stanley Cups to show for it. So Lord Stanley has been going down Alligator Alley as well here the last 5 years. So
you know what? Very very good hockey down in Florida.
Colorado, Dallas has been insane. The Avs tie it up. Minnesota's giving Vegas all they can handle. I'd say right now that Gustafsson's been, notwithstanding Vegas getting the win in overtime in yesterday's game, but they needed that.
Yeah,
they needed that. And Kaprizov's been playing. I mean, he's a former Calder Trophy winner. We all know what he's done down there in Minnesota, but he's obviously really enjoying this playoff run. You could make the case he's outplaying Jack Eichel, And the goaltending, you can make the case Gustafsson's outplayed Aiden Hill. So
I would absolutely say that.
This series is far from over, and you've got a whole different animal now with Edmonton coming back on LA.
Let's just hope they come back again.
That's a big one tonight as well. So there's a game on right now as we speak.
I have not even considered the New Jersey Carolina
St. Louis,
series
Winnipeg.
at all. Well, St. Louis, Winnipeg. I've watched some of that.
Well, Hellebuck got lit up again, but they got to get it done because they.
Well, they're one of the best teams in the league. Yeah. And they've got to get through.
For the last 5 years.
Right. And they've got to get through that.
Yeah.
You
got to find a way, man.
You know what?
At the end of the day, you got to find a way.
Or they'll be known as the Leafs of the West.
Yes. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Imagine if Ottawa wins game 5. Look out.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
That would be something.
You know what?
That would be something.
It would be, regardless, the Sens have played phenomenally well. They should be proud of what they've done.
They probably deserve a better fate than to be down 3-1.
Oh, they outshot them in 2 of the games that they lost in overtime.
Yeah.
Right?
But yesterday, where they were getting kills in the face-off dot.
Yes.
And yesterday they changed that around, and they dominated the face-off dot. They dominated the offensive zone in terms of possession.
I'd like a stat. I don't know if it's available. How many times Ottawa was thrown out of the dot?
Oh, it's
ridiculous.
These linesmen are absolutely.
Oh my God.
I wrote one. What I'm doing. I'm just writing a little thing after every 2 games. So after when Toronto and Montreal, Ottawa and Montreal both played. So after
4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So after the Hab game tonight, I'll do a little synopsis. And I wrote not the last one, but the one before. The linesman. I actually put his name in, and I've never seen anything that bad. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And how many times do you see it? Okay, you're out. Next guy comes in, throw that guy out. Then they drop it. Because if anybody gets 2,
3, that's right. If you go to 3rd, you're gone.
You get a penalty. And they don't want to be the one that's going to cause maybe a team losing a game. God forbid.
Yeah.
Because Joe linesman who wants to be the guy, wants to be the show, won't drop the friggin' puck. It is bullshit.
Just get in there, okay, boom.
Terrible.
I would much rather them.
Worst it's ever been. Worst it's ever been by far.
Yeah. And there was just a ton of them, and it just drove me nuts. I think you get to the point where, you've got a Tavares taking a face-off against a non-centerman.
Yeah, well,
right?
That's the other thing that happens, yeah.
Right?
I mean, he did beat Pinto on the draw to get it back to Benny there for that OT shot, but at the end of the day, massive role reversal for the Senators in the last game in the dot. They obviously paid a lot of attention to detail, maybe made some subtle changes. It's hard to really know what's going on, but they were a whole lot more efficient on the dot, and you have to be come playoff time. They were getting absolutely scalded, like 60-40. It was crazy, maybe even higher in the last couple games, and they reversed that yesterday. So, and Tyler Kleven, there's
you like him?
Oh my God! I mean, he's playing like probably I guess a lot of us kind of thought, okay, because he's a big guy.
Yeah.
And and he's not taking any shit out there. Like he's standing up physically, and he's not afraid to take the puck.
Yeah.
And he's not just off the glass and out.
Right.
Right? Like they tell so many teams, just get that friggin' thing out. He's actually showing some authoritative control of the puck as he's maneuvering out. Can I take some ice?
Yeah.
And gain the zone and minimally get a nice shoot in, or maybe even a controlled zone entry or something like that. So I think he's played great.
And I don't know who it was that said it, but they had said he's one of the best number 6 defensemen in the league right now. And I can't remember which commentator said it. It doesn't really matter. But you know what I'm really happy about? Shabbat hasn't fucked up.
That's true.
And he's a great player. Yeah. And he's now showing what he can do. But for so long, he was trying to do too much, maybe.
Well, for sure.
For sure. Oh, speaking of trying to do too much, Amadio. Fuck.
Oh, Amadio.
Amadio. He played for the Leafs.
I don't even remember Montreal.
Yeah. He played for the Leafs briefly. And he's got so much. His hands.
Yeah.
He's got so much talent. but he's always making that last move,
Yeah.
and it's getting him to trouble instead of making and just trying to play a little less skilled.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the challenges when you have these kids who are so friggin' good.
Yeah.
Okay? But my thought is that he's got to simplify things.
Simplify the game. He took the words
Simplify
right
the
out of my
game.
mouth. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But, exciting to watch the whole
thing.
And I'm
you can't wait for the next games. Imagine the Senators coming off the mat, first round, down 3-0, coming back and winning the cup.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
You know what? You know who I'd be happy for?
It'd be the Los Angeles Kings of 2014.
It would be the Los Angeles Kings of 2014.
That's what they did.
Yeah, with Dustin Brown as their captain at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a big year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to see the LA Kings.
They're good.
Win. They are good.
Oh my God.
And I don't want to see them win this series because you know what? I think that Edmonton.
Byfield, Doughty as a veteran on D.
Doughty.
Yeah.
Like he actually. So the games that I've seen and parts thereof, because it's late, eh? And I'm old, and so I fall asleep. Like it's crazy. But he has played like a kid 10 years younger.
He's looked good.
And who was it? He was on the block at trade deadline. They were talking about him being on the block.
Drew Doughty?
Yeah.
I don't recall that.
Yeah.
But, maybe. I don't recall it per se. To be honest with you. But
okay.
I'm out of beer.
You're out of beer. Okay, so we're over. Okay, so we're done. Is there anything else you want to announce? Any important?
No, I don't think so. No, I can't think of anything. So
right.
we're good to go. We'll just get on the playoffs here in the first round and see what happens the next time we reconvene where everybody's at.
Perfect. Now get me my shirt, Buck.
Well, I thought the header had one for you.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything, heard anything.
Okay, well I just got this.
Okay.
So
all right,
because you've been away.
I've been away.
You've been away, so
and you've been sick.
And I've been sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liam, he's had all the vaccinations, everything. Still got VD. This has been Offside with Hawes McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire. G'day.